She made the world roar with laughter, but offstage, Phyllis Diller carried a secret so heavy. She never dared whisper it to her fans. For over 30 years, she drove to the same hidden place every single week. Behind the wigs, the cigarette holder, and that famous cackle was a heartbreaking truth that explains why she never stopped performing, even when her own heart literally stopped beating. Today, we uncover the secret Phyllis Diller kept from the world. She was born on July 17, 1917, in Lima, Ohio. Her father, Perry, was 55 years old, and her mother, Frances, was 36, growing up in a household surrounded by much older relatives, funerals, and constant reminders of mortality. Young Phyllis developed a strange comfort with dark and difficult topics. While most children avoided conversations about death, she was fascinated by them. This unusual perspective would later become the foundation of her comedy, allowing her to joke about subjects that others found too heavy. From an early age, Phyllis displayed immense musical talent. At just 10 years old, she was accepted into the Sherwood Music Conservatory in Chicago, where her piano skills impressed her teachers and peers. By 1939, she was playing with professional orchestras. Yet despite her talent, she felt she would never be as good as her instructors. With a heavy heart, she quit her pursuit of music. Looking back, she admitted that walking away from the piano was devastating, but it also freed her to find her true calling in comedy. Her childhood was far from easy. The Great Depression hit her family hard, forcing Phyllis to sell newspapers to contribute to their survival. Those tough years toughened her spirit and gave her the resilience she would later need when the odds seemed stacked against her. After trying college and leaving multiple times, she married Sherwood Diller in 1939, beginning a new chapter filled with both love and hardship. Motherhood came quickly. The couple had 6 children, though tragedy struck when one baby boy died just 2 weeks after birth, and Phyllis later suffered a miscarriage. She eventually raised 5 surviving children, but their lives were far from stable. Sherwood struggled to hold steady employment, often refusing jobs he considered beneath him, while Phyllis worked tirelessly to keep the family afloat. They relied on food stamps and rationing, often barely scraping by. During these years, Phyllis suffered postpartum depression, constant relocations, and a deep sense of exhaustion. But through it all, there was a spark. While doing household chores, she found solace in listening to radio comedy shows. Those voices and jokes lit something inside her. They reminded her that laughter could make even the heaviest burdens feel lighter. That seed would eventually grow into something extraordinary. By 1952, their financial struggles reached a breaking point when the family was evicted from their home. Over $300 in unpaid rent. Just when it seemed things couldn't get worse, Phyllis got a lifeline, a $75 a week job as a radio copywriter at Caro in Oakland. There, she created a quirky segment called Phyllis Diller, the homely friend maker. It gave her a voice and the beginnings of a comedic persona. Encouraged by Sherwood, Phyllis attempted her first stand-up performance at a veterans hospital. It was a disaster. She was heckled and humiliated, but rather than quitting, she used the experience as motivation. Her defining break came on March 7, 1955, when she performed at the legendary Purple Onion in San Francisco. She was 37 years old, poking fun at her cooking, her looks, and her marriage. Audiences roared with laughter. What was supposed to be a short gig turned into an 89-week run, cementing her as a comedic force. Phyllis knew she had to stand out in a male-dominated industry. By 1956, she had fully transformed into the character the world would remember. She wore a fright wig, caked her face in garish makeup, carried a long cigarette holder, and dressed in deliberately clashing outfits. While other female performers tried to embody glamour, Phyllis owned the opposite. She made herself ridiculous, and people loved it. Her bookings skyrocketed. She developed a system for her craft, keeping 50,000 handwritten jokes organized in a custom cabinet, and performing with lightning speed, spitting out up to 200 words a minute. In 1958, she released her first comedy album, Like a Lampshade in a Whorehouse, which shocked audiences with its title, but sold 50,000 copies in its first year. By 1959, she was touring non-stop, hitting over 150 clubs and earning more money than she had ever dreamed of. Her biggest breakthrough came on April 5, 1961, when she appeared on The Jack Paar Show. At 43, she didn't fit Hollywood's standards of beauty or youth, but she stood under the bright lights with fearless honesty. She joked about her chaotic household, her frumpy looks, and her non-existent cooking skills. America fell in love. That one appearance launched her into national stardom. Soon she was a regular on The Ed Sullivan Show, touring with Bob Hope, and even entertaining troops in Vietnam. Not everything was a success. In 1966, she starred in her own sitcom, The Pruitts of Southampton, later renamed The Phyllis Diller Show. Despite wild storylines and her unique comedic flair, the ratings were dismal, and the show ended after just 30 episodes. Her 1968 variety series, The Beautiful Phyllis Diller Show, also lasted only 13 weeks. Yet Phyllis didn't let failure define her. She laughed at it, even when TV Guide later listed her sitcom among the worst shows ever. To her, even a flop was just another punchline behind the spotlight. However, Phyllis's personal life was full of pain. Her marriage to Sherwood ended in divorce in 1965 after years of financial instability and emotional strain. She quickly remarried actor Ward Donovan, but the relationship collapsed within months due to infidelity and alcohol abuse. Later, she found genuine love with actor Robert Hastings, with whom she lived until his death in 1996. The greatest heartbreaks, though, came from her children. Her daughter Sally suffered from schizophrenia and spent most of her life in institutions. Before dying in 1993, her son Peter died of cancer in 1998, and her daughter Stephanie passed away from a stroke in 2002. By the end of her life, Phyllis had buried 4 of her 6 children, yet she never revealed these tragedies on stage. To the world, she kept smiling, keeping her private sorrow hidden behind her public laughter. Phyllis reinvented herself constantly. She acted in films like Boy, Did I Get a Wrong Number?, The Sunshine Boys, and The Great Balloon Race. She lent her voice to animated productions such as Mad Monster Party and later Pixar's A Bug's Life, where her comedic timing made even cartoon characters unforgettable. In 1984, she broke new ground again by openly discussing her plastic surgeries in a home video called Phyllis Diller's Home Video Guide to Plastic Surgery. At a time when Hollywood stars denied any cosmetic work, Phyllis joked openly about her facelifts, nose jobs, and breast reductions. Her honesty earned her recognition from the American Academy of Cosmetic Surgery, and she proudly called herself the Queen of Plastic Surgery. In the 1990s, she turned her eccentric style into a business, launching her own line of wigs and costumes, which became popular with drag performers and fans from the gay community. She even surprised audiences with appearances on soap operas like The Bold and the Beautiful, proving she could blend comedy with drama. At 85 years old, she performed her final stand-up special, Still Out for a Laugh, where her jokes about aging hit audiences harder than ever. Even after retiring from the stage, Phyllis continued creating. She became a painter, filling her Brentwood home with artwork. Some of her pieces sold for thousands of dollars. Despite health issues including heart failure in 1997, a pacemaker in 1999, and a fractured back in 2007, she never stopped finding ways to express herself. Her final public appearance was in May 2012, when she received a Lifetime Achievement Award in her hometown of Lima, Ohio. Though frail, she smiled, her laugh still resonating with the same magic that had carried her through decades of triumph and tragedy. On August 20, 2012, Phyllis Diller passed away peacefully in her Brentwood home at the age of 95. Her ashes were scattered at sea, a fittingly free and simple farewell for a woman who never let life's darkness dim her spirit. Phyllis Diller's legacy is monumental. She shattered barriers in a male-dominated comedy world, paving the way for women like Joan Rivers, Ellen DeGeneres, Roseanne Barr, and countless others. She proved that women could be bold, fearless, and just as funny as men. Her outrageous wigs, her unforgettable laugh, and her raw honesty made her an icon. But perhaps her greatest gift was showing the world that laughter doesn't erase pain. It transforms it. Through every setback, Phyllis Diller proved that laughter is the strongest medicine. She turned pain into joy and left a legacy that still inspires. If her story moved you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more incredible stories of legends who changed the world. Thanks for watching.